Right, we're off and running. Hello, everyone. Welcome back in to the Countersim podcast. This is episode 85. 85. My name is Matt Lacey, and as ever, I am joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Jamie Joyner.
Good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning. Exactly, Jamie. Good morning. I shall come to that reason for good morning in a moment. And Mr. Harry Sermon.
Hey, good morning as well.
Good morning.
Top of the morning.
Yes, you can tell it's the school holidays, listeners, because we are recording this at 10:30 on a Monday morning.
We don't usually sound this week.
This chipper.
So if we sound a bit too in your face, we could perhaps maybe there's an evening filter you can put on your listening device to make us sound really tired. But yeah, we are coming to you from a Monday morning because we don't really need to do it in the evening now because we're not teaching in schools, and we have some new found availability in our diaries. And if you listen to the last episode, we're kind of thankful for a catch up, really, because it's all been a bit hectic over the last weekend or two, and it's probably going to get busy over the next couple of weekends. So we thought we'd get this in now while we are fresh faced, coffee in hand, and ready to bring you another episode. We had a little conflab before we press record, and we have nothing new to share with you, listeners.
Streak.
It's two or three on the trot with that. Anything?
Yeah.
I think I've got some stuff on order, so maybe I'll ruin the streak.
Yeah.
Next.
We'll go
episode.
big next time, maybe.
We'll go, yeah.
No, you got one little thing new, Matt. Don't forget.
Oh yes, I did actually. Yeah. So for the visual listeners, I'm pointing at the little thing now. That sounds wrong. I'm pointing at the thing that I got new this week. So you'll have to watch YouTube to find out what's different about what I'm pointing at.
What a way to get all of our audio listeners onto the YouTube channel.
This could get all the views
find out what
reason.
little thing Matt is pointing at.
Point out the thing I'm pointing at. This is the Instagram reel now, isn't it? Perfect.
I have to put on when I upload it to Buzzsprout, I have to put a sort of content warning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to tick that box now.
What they eat.
Content.
Yeah. May contain. No, let's not go there. Right. Anyway, as you can tell, we are full of beans because it is Monday, and today's episode, not tonight. See, I'm still in evening mode. Planting your flag. So you may be listening and going, what's all that about? So we had a little chat about things over the weekend. It's coincided with a few conversations we've had. Certainly, I've had with other people. But Harry, why don't you give us the lowdown on the synopsis of
Oh, I like that.
Planting. Well, we've been talking about films a lot, haven't we? So,
Yeah.
What are we getting at when we talk about planting our flag?
Yeah, this kind of came from a little conversation I had on a gig a couple of weeks ago. We were having dinner before we sort of set up and sound check, and it was, as these gigs sometimes are, 3 hours until you play, all that sort of stuff. So we went out for dinner, and it was nice to just hang out with the people I was playing with. And I got talking with the guitar player, Tom, and we kind of ended up on this conversation of like, and he actually coined the phrase. I think someone he had a conversation with kind of mentioned it to him, of this idea of planting your flag. And this kind of conversation came about from, as musicians, there's so many different directions we can go in. There's so many things to learn. You go to the drum show, for example, and you are absolutely inundated with all of this information. You could be blasting paradiddles on a practice pad. You could be working on your double kick technique. You could be working on ostinatos. You want to be working on your sound, your tuning, how to all this sort of stuff, and it is incredibly overwhelming. And it's hard to figure out what you actually want to be good at and what you want to be sort of known for as a drummer. And it kind of came from a conversation I was sort of talking to Tom about, because this was a blues gig, and I don't do a lot of blues stuff. I know, obviously, Matt, you do, but I kind of was saying I feel confident with, various shuffles and grooves and all that sort of stuff in that sort of world, but I'm not clued up on, the classics and all these, legendary bands and drummers and all that sort of stuff and musicians from this sort of time. And he was kind of saying, I don't think you necessarily need to be, because he was like, for me, this is kind of the thing I love to do, and this sort of area is kind of my thing. And again, he goes out to Texas every year or so, and has lessons and studies and stuff like that, and he kind of likes to really get into it.
Wow.
And that's where this conversation came from, and he was kind of getting some advice, and he was like, if this is I think the guy said to Tom, if this was the thing you love, just really focus on that. You know, you don't need to be trying to do a jazz gig or a pop gig, because it's clearly maybe not your thing. So just get really good at that, and that will just serve you, you know. And I think from a drum perspective, that really resonated with me, because I feel like as the sort of years have gone on, probably more so the last sort of 3 or 4 years, you know, we've gone to drum shows, we've gone to drum camps. For me, I feel like I've really started to funnel down what it is I want to work on, what I want to sound like, what is important to me, the gigs I want to do, the music I want to make, what I really want to kind of practice and perfect, and kind of, I guess in a way, be professional at. So yeah, that's the kind of concept of the sort of planting the flag. That's kind of where that conversation kind of came from. And I think it's an interesting one as well, because it's not like none of this stuff is important, but is what's important to you. You know, case in point with the Isaac masterclass. You know, that was great. I loved when we watched him was it last year or the year before he played drum show? I can't remember now. It was the year before, wasn't it? Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
Because it was with Spaven as well, wasn't it? I mean, it was amazing. We were sat right front row. He sounded incredible. It was incredible to watch. And then the opportunity, obviously, with the masterclass that you went to, Matt, is very much, I think, up your street as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sure it'd be great to hang with everyone. It'd be great to watch some incredible drumming. But the material for me, it's not going to inspire me to want to go home and work on it, because it's just not something I'm going to want to spend time on, you know? So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys sort of think about, because we haven't really talked about this in detail, I want to hear what you guys quickly think about that idea.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. If you've
I agree. I think the drum show is a really good example of a place where you can start to feel that pull and that overwhelm, like you mentioned, because you get so many drummers doing their thing, and you see that there's so many different drummers doing their thing as well, and the beauty is that you can choose the types of people you want to go and see and get input from, and I think actually the hard thing is to not go along just because everyone else is going and they are quote unquote a good drummer. But if you were to really be like, well, actually they are a good drummer objectively, but I don't personally resonate with the material that they're presenting, or that their kind of specialist thing. So, you know, I'm going to go see this drummer, which maybe is. And sure, I think, and potentially this is where I sit, I like to appreciate things for what they are. So I would love to just go and feel inspired to play. And if I go and see some, like, I don't know, proggy, fusiony drummer, I often sit there going, this is not me. I would not want to play this. But at the same time, I'm still thinking about sound, and I'm still thinking about ideas and the creative way that they're coming up with their concepts and the solo, and trying to figure it out, and like the challenge of it. And, you know, just there's other little strings that I pull on. I'm like, oh, what's that like? You know, and kind of it kind of, I don't know, it interests me in other ways. It stretches me in other ways. So, you know, from a personal point, I would happily go and see anyone. But I do agree that if you look at who's on the stages there, they've all specialized. They've all gone into their thing. And so, you know, if you do want to take that as like the end goal, then, you know, maybe there is some worth and some value in actually going, sure, you get all your influences, you can watch all these different drummers, but at the end of the day, what's your sound, what's your voice, where are you planting your flag? Because if everyone was the same, it would be really boring, you know. Everyone would do exactly the same thing. So it's the variety of all those different avenues which makes it interesting, you know.
I remember you saying, Jay, when we were at I think it was, we did the episode after last year's drum show, when you go and sit in a room and you go and see a drummer do his thing or her thing, and I remember you saying, oh, you've put your time and effort into that. And you've done, so, you know, the stuff that Isaac might do compared to the stuff that Mike Johnston's going to do, or Eloy's going to do. It's a very different vibe. And you're right. It means I resonate with Isaac's playing because I am in that world a little bit of gigging and doing
100%.
stuff. And I've got a kind of love for jazz as a genre. I'm looking to improve what I can play in a Latin, or take from the Latin element and put into kind of standard jazz stuff as well. But when he did that masterclass, I alluded to it a couple of episodes ago. It wasn't actually, he played songs demonstrating, talking about, don't think about rights and lefts, think about the melody that you want to play. Now I can take that as a concept, as if I'm playing a standard ballad or I'm playing a swing tune, and they say, "Oh, Matt, do a solo," whether it's fours, so I'm playing 4 bars on and off, solo and then melody, or they want me to play a B section 8 bar, or they want me to play the first 16, an A and a B section. I did a gig a couple of weeks ago with the Depp bass player who's joined our band for a gig, a blues band. He says, "Matt, the last time I saw you, we were at a jazz jam, and you played a solo, and it was exactly 16 bars. How did you know?" I said, "Are you counting that?" I says, "No, I'm playing the melody in my head." So it was the concept of what the stuff that Isaac talks about, but pulling it into my playing.
Yeah.
And he talked about how well do you know a paradiddle diddle? You can play it. I don't know. There are 70 different combinations of how you can play 2 paradiddle diddles together, in terms of accents and ghost notes, and really getting into the nitty gritty of a single rudiment. So it wasn't like I want to play like Isaac in terms of that's what I'm going to put all my time into. Really, for me, it was like, how am I going to get really good at playing things precisely and accurately? And in my teaching world, I need to perhaps widen my experience and knowledge so I can demonstrate different rudiments in a different way to give context to the student, for example. So, I know I am guilty of getting pulled along with the kind of, I want to be able to play like that, or I want to be able to play like that, or do the kind of stuff that Mark Giuliano did on the main stage. And you're like, wow, it's all excellent. And I do have to stop myself and go, but how am I going to take the inspiration from that, but not try and be like that?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, being honest, it's not an easy thing for me to do. I'm like, I'll take away a couple of really specific exercises. So I went up to Rotherham to see Bob Wynn at Bob's Drum School, because he put on a masterclass with Pat Garvey. That's right. Who plays with a band called Osric Tentacles, and he's got a drum school down in Brighton. And whilst he wasn't coming from a stylistic perspective, because while he plays in what you could call a prog fusion band, there wasn't anything like, this is how you play an odd time, or it wasn't specific to the music he plays. It was more about, let's look at some fundamental coordination stuff. And I took some exercises from that, like, oh yeah, I'll play that. Oh, I can't play that. So that becomes a little thing for me. It's like, right, I want to build that into my bank of coordination things that I can do. So sometimes I'll take stuff on the exercise, dare I say, for the sake of the exercise, just because it's going to unlock something else.
Yeah, it sounds like that there's a bigger goal behind that, though. Yeah. It's more of a I want to grow and I want to learn more and I want to get better, rather than I want to play this specific exercise, or I want to be able to play this particular style. It's I know that this is going to push me in my teaching, in my gigging, in my coordination, maybe in my reading, or maybe just straight up discipline of working on something until you can achieve it. That just that concept, you can kind of apply that to anyone that is inspiring, I guess. And
I think that, talking about kind of what does it mean to plant your flag? I mean, are you guys having conscious decisions and thoughts about the kind of drummer that you want to be, the kind of player, the kind of musician? Is that something that I was thinking about this the other day. I saw that Mike Dolbear is advertising. Dave Weckles doing a masterclass down in London with Mike Dolbear. And to be honest, I'm not going to be able to get to that one, and it's probably, I'm sure it's value for money, but it's probably the money I haven't got. And I thought, well, if I was going to ask Dave a question, it would be, did he ever have a plan about where he wanted to be in his playing, or did his ability, did that naturally find the players that he's ended up playing with? And my question, kind of similar to you guys, if you're conscious about who you're playing with, where you want to be, do you have any goals in mind, or do you feel that as players you have found your people through osmosis, if you like, through just because the people you are and the way you play and the musicians you are? How do you think that's, we talk about what does it mean to plant your flag? How conscious are you of that?
Well, that, if I could jump in, Jay, if that's
right.
That kind of thing, what I probably should have mentioned also in the conversation, it was, we were talking about obviously this idea and so on, and I was saying I find it really surprising that I don't think, again, from my point of view, could be wrong, but from my point of view and the drum show and all that sort of stuff, from scrolling Instagram, a lot of the things I see and what I take in, I find it really surprising that I don't think enough people, find their favorite drummers and really obsess on them. Obviously, who I obsess on and so on.
Who's that, Harry? You never mentioned it.
Just some guy, probably never heard of him. But, those sorts of groups of players in that sort of world, that sort of thing, I have obsessed on and still do and find things in that. And I think it's so surprising the amount of people that don't do that. But furthermore, what they then don't do is then find out the players that person likes and get hooked on them. And then do the same thing and find the lineage. We were talking about the Charlie Watts lifting the left hand for the backbeat thing, and everyone goes, oh, that's Charlie Watts. Well, it's kind of not, because he saw Jim Keltner do it. And then you get into Jim Keltner and you realize actually Jim Keltner took it from Levon Helm, and you get into Levon Helm, you do the lineage and stuff, and you find out all these players, and that you just get this clearer picture of it all, and also thinking about, you can obsess on those 3 or 4 drummers, whoever it may be, but you won't be those drummers because those people are those people. But then you take that in a good way of like, okay, well, if my mix of, my interpretation of Jason McGurr is going to be different to Jay's interpretation of Jason McGurr. And we can both be obsessed with Jason McGurr, but we're going to play our Jason McGurr type feel grooves very differently. And that's great. That's what it's all about.
That's the point, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that for me, the meaning of finding, like you said, Matt, your flag, your preferred route, if that makes sense, is just it's right in front of you. Just pick 3 of your favorite drummers from your favorite bands or artists or whatever, and just obsess on them and really go deep and set up your kit like them and try to play like them, because you probably won't, but you'll learn, I think, a lot more than what you would if you tried to learn probably Gadamant's back to front and just that. Do you know what I mean? I think that's another part to the question, though, is the musicians, the player you want to be, and all that sort of stuff. But I'll let Jay answer the other bit as well.
No, I think that's good. That's good. I think to answer your question, Matt, about like, do I have a plan, or do I have like a goal of the type of drummer I want to be? I think that on a personal journey of that, I've always really struggled with it. I think I've probably mentioned that on a pod a few times before, where there's not been like a clear, I want to be X type of drummer, or clear influence. I certainly have people that I would lean more towards being my favorite drummers or more influential than others. Jason McGurr being one of them, for example. But I haven't gone as deep on Jason McGurr as Harry has on Steve Jordan, for example. And, nor do I really feel the urge to. However, I do feel like there is value in what Harry's saying about there's not enough people doing that, going deep and researching the lineage and obsessing over it, setting your kit up like them, like just trying to get their sound at all costs. I think that's awesome, and it's what is going to teach you lots and make you.
Yeah. That one person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your goal.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to be, for example, a teacher, then maybe playing Gadamant's back to front is the thing that you need to be doing.
Or being shit hot at reading for like a theatre gig, if that's all you want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. No,
like,
definitely.
So, I do think that those things have their place and have value. But I don't think that it's right to sort of say everyone should be doing that thing.
No.
And I think that's not to kind of counter your point completely, Harry, because I do agree. But I think that's maybe why a reason why I struggle a little bit is that there's a lot of I have a lot of
Is that your dog?
Yeah, sorry, it's put me off. If you can tell.
You can tell it's Monday. You can tell it's Monday morning, not
Get
Monday
the dog
evening.
walk on the go.
Yeah, someone's trying to reverse, and that's very
that would keep
threatening.
But I think all decent podcasts have a dog barking in the background.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know.
We should sample that.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
no, it's all good.
Struggling about like that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, you know, one day I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love Jason McGurr's sound and his setup and his playing style. This is amazing. I want to just like obsess over this, learn all the grooves, transcribe a bunch of stuff, really go deep, just like try and get inside his head. The next minute, dog, sorry.
No, right.
Then the next minute I'll be like, oh, I've got like an advanced student here asking me about how they're going to play this really complicated piece that they're learning. You know, it might be like the halftime shuffle, or I've had some people come to me, I'm learning Rush today, and I'm like, oh, right, okay. I've got to put my Rush hat on, and suddenly it's oh, I need to have a real good knowledge of odd time and of technique and of reading as well, as often if it's you know, kind of like a complex like graded piece or something they've downloaded off the internet and they're trying to interpret, or maybe someone says, oh, you just jump on this jazz gig for me. I don't want to necessarily be like, oh no, sorry, that's not for me, go ask this guy. You know, and that's not because I think I'm a jazz drummer, because I wouldn't call myself that. But also there's part of me that doesn't want to say no to those opportunities or say no to it just because it's not like my thing. And so I don't know, this is a very long-winded way of answering the question, but yeah, I've not got like a goal. I definitely view myself more as I don't really like the term really, but like a session player, in that I can sort of do, if someone needs drums for something, I will do that. So, you know, I'll do the theatre thing, I'll do the reading thing, I'll do the jazz thing, I'll do the, you know, the regular depth stuff, I'll do a blues gig. Like, I've done all of those things before. I'm not a specialist in any of those areas. No. You know, I'm not.
I know enough to do the job though and do it well, sort of thing.
Enough to do the gig. And at the moment, that's fine. I don't feel like that I need to. You know,
it's really interesting you mentioned, because I'm really interested you've mentioned that, Jay, and I agree with you actually on a lot of that, because I brought up the quote I thought might be relevant to this episode, but I'm going to read this off the internet, listener. But everyone's heard the phrase "jack of all trades,
master of none."
Master of none, and that as it's the short version of the quote, and that's obviously very often got a negative connotation. But I think it was originally Shakespeare that said it. I think there's internet is kind of like debating that, but the full quote is a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So what that's saying is you can be great at the one thing, but very often if you're a generalist and you're pretty good at a lot of stuff, that shouldn't be dismissed and it's actually got value. So often it's better to be a generalist than be a master of one thing. So I think it is that, whether that's, as I say, go back to my point about his conscious decision to be okay at everything, I don't think I've ever said that. I just want to enjoy playing the music that I play. And I'm fortunate that I've had an upbringing where I've been exposed to classical music and jazz, and I love my rock and my blues and everything, bit of Latin. So I can be inspired, I guess, because we play an instrument. You've always got that in, whatever the music might be, you've got that. You can understand what the drummer might be doing on a given song, irrespective of the genre.
Yeah.
And you can take something from that and go, I'd like the feel he's got there, or the tuning of the drums. You're just being open to trying different stuff and see what. And if it's like, I think to your point, Harry, there's a lot of drummers out there. Well, I'll rephrase that. There's a lot of people out there that play the drums.
Yeah.
But aren't necessarily drummers, and I'm not throwing shade, but to your point, like they don't go into the detail of, I wonder what would happen if I tune my snare like this, or maybe if I take my bottom heads off, or I want this vibe from this kit. So it's I think there's awfully value in doing that, but I think it's important to kind of balance the conversation. Like, what kind of drive do you want to be? Well, actually, if you want to be, okay at everything and be able to take, because I would never take a theatre gig. Jay.
No,
I
wouldn't.
I'd give him your phone number, Jay.
Yeah, same.
Obviously, if you ever get a jazz gig you didn't want, you'd give him mine. But it's
you can still in that context want to do the other things,
Yes.
Like,
And
I think ultimately it does come down to, what do you want to do? Do you just want to be? You just want to be really good in your one band. That's absolutely fine. Believe it or not, some people don't even want to play with other people, which is crazy,
No,
Some people won't just be like, I play drums, give me my number and I'll go and do the gig. I can turn up and play. That's such a foreign concept to so many people,
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it does come down to that, doesn't it? Do you want to be really good at like a niche or a specific pocket of whatever it is, or do you want to just be able to do it and get as much work as possible? Do you want to be a percussionist on the side?
Yeah, no, it's. I'm depping for a covers band next weekend, and they wanted me for 3 dates. I can do one of them, and I looked at their itinerary, and they're too busy to play with other people. They've got like, between now and the end of the year, they've got like 20-something, 25 gigs, 30 gigs, and they're out 3 or 4 or 5 times a month. Pubs, clubs, and private events. And you're like, well, if I was the drummer in that band, I haven't got time. I'm probably earning okay doing that gig, and I don't really have the time to go and do anything else. So, that's a drummer that's all in on being his cover band, because that's the drummer he is. So
I think also, like, there are other factors as well. Like, for example, if I'm offered a gig and I need the gig, I will probably, if it's good money, I'll take it. Like, even though it's a bit maybe outside of what I typically do or something, you'd be like, oh no, like, this is kind of going back to what we were saying earlier. Like, it's going to stretch me. It's going to challenge me in new ways. I'm kind of doing one this month, to be fair. I've got like I'm doing a promo video for like an 80s movies show. The drummer can't do the promo, so they were like, oh, will you do it? It's like a couple of days of miming along to the drummer's parts and whatnot, but it's I had a look at the set list of like 15 songs. Like, I know one on here, and it's definitely not like my thing. But I was like, I know that there are some cool musicians on this gig. I know that I want to feel stretched and to maybe learn more about this era of music. And then maybe if it's these sort of tunes are called on another gig, then, I've got that experience then. So, it's maybe not the best example, but it's definitely like a thing where I'm like, oh, I need some more work in August. So I'm going to take that.
Sorry to cut across, Jay. But I think you're right though. It's that kind of being, what kind of drummer do I want to be? I want to be the kind of drummer that's going to stretch myself and say yes to something, because actually it's going to put me in that headspace. And all there is in there is growth. Because I'm going to learn 15 more songs, and I'm getting paid for it, and I'm going to meet new people. And it's kind of, I don't know these songs, maybe it's miming to everything, but that can be part of your flag. That can be I want to be improving as a drummer and saying yes to stuff, even though I'm not sitting here with all the answers now. But
I think
it's that
for
typical
me,
procrastination thing. Is I'm not going to learn it, but when the opportunity comes up, right now I need to learn.
Yeah,
I need to learn it.
And I think for me, potentially, it's a little different in that, like, I have to like support my whole like life through playing drums. So I'm like, it's important for me to like just do this stuff. Like, obviously, I could be selective, and I have to be selective sometimes and be like, nah, this is not paid well enough. That's too far. Sometimes I just don't like that sort of music or that type of gig, and I'll be like, no, I'm not going to do that. But most of the time I'm like, well, if I've got the ability to be able to learn this stuff and do this stuff, and it's meeting new people and worth it in that sense, then why not? I'm not gonna like. I don't really want to also like pigeonhole myself. I guess that's like the flip side of this is if you're known to be like the jazz guy or the metal guy or, kind of the guy that just does functions or the guy that just does his originals band or whatever, then you're not going to be asked to do the other stuff, maybe even stuff that you maybe quite enjoy or want to do. And, I think that there is an element of risk, I guess, if you do just kind of go all in on one thing. It's like you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and that could be good, but I think there's like a semi flip side to that as well. Don't know if you'd agree.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on? I mean, do you feel that you guys? We made a couple of notes before we came on about have we collectively as individuals? That doesn't sound right. But have we all
the three of us?
The three of us, have we planted our flags? And I guess if we were to ask people we've played with or people within your local scene, whatever you want to call it, do you think you have an identity as a drummer, that you have a flag planted? A flag planted? Definitely. Wow. You can tell it's no pre-coffee, everyone. A flag planted even for other people to identify you as a drummer. What would other people say about you as a drummer? Musicians that you've worked with, or why might you be the first person that someone might suggest if someone was looking for someone? Do you think you have an identity out there already?
Go on, Harry.
Deathly hush.
Yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it? Because you don't really go around very often asking people, "Hey, man, what do you think?" Even though there's nothing wrong with doing that, I think actually that would, if everyone did that, I think that would probably be really quite beneficial. To anyone really. I think I do a little bit. I think I do kind of get, like, I even got called for the blues gig because Tom knew, like, I got a nice feel, or I can play a nice groove and all that sort of stuff. And he's very, in that context of the blues stuff, very particular of like, we've got to get the tempos right. And, he was like, I think he said to me the other day, he was like, your tempos are bulletproof, which was quite funny.
Right.
That's nice to hear. I didn't really think of it like that. But that's I guess that comes back to your question, Matt. That's a reason of why he wanted me on the gig.
Yeah.
So I'd say, but I think equally, like, I feel like, I guess answering maybe the earlier question of like, there's still other things that I feel like there's always stuff you want to get good at and better at and so on, and you never kind of reach the mountaintop, as it were. There's definitely still more stuff that I would like to do and I guess be known for in that sort of way. Whether it's like a recording thing or like a sound thing or whatever, on top of, I guess, to Tom's compliment of like a playing thing, So I feel like I've got it in my hand. It's maybe just not quite in the ground yet, to use the flag analogy.
Okay.
I like that. But yeah.
Jay?
I don't think there's anything specific in terms of like, oh, you're this type of drummer, so therefore we need them on. I need you on the gig. I think most people that, I don't know, again, you don't ask them, but I think people would probably say about me, the reason they've asked me is because usually I did a good job the first time, and so they'll ask me again. So I'm often the the person that someone will get in touch with 2 or 3 years down the line when they're like desperate because I did a thing like for them a while back, or the Dep asked me to do it. So the regular drummer asked me to do it. I did it. It was fine. Everyone felt really comfortable. I got asked to do it again. And I think also kind of links to social media as well, because what you're posting about what you're doing, that's kind of becoming your brand and your identity and so on. So I get offered a lot of function stuff through social media, and I think that's partly because I posted about function stuff on social media. So, you know, it's that thing of like it being fresh and in people's faces. And so, you know, when someone thinks, oh, I need a Dep drummer, who do I know that does functions? If they've seen me sitting at my kit every Saturday at a function, like that, there's more likely people to be like, oh yeah, this person is experienced and does this all the time, so I'm gonna see if they're available. So I think there's an element of that as well. So it's kind of like what you put yourself out as, you're gonna get more of that back. I'd say it's very occasional, but I also get asked because I can read. So I've been asked to do some sort of more like theatre type things, and some like school shows and stuff where it's very last minute. We've got charts. We just need someone to come in and play the parts. And I think I think that locally there's only a few other drummers I know that would do that. So I've got a few bits of work that have been like, we're asking you this because we know that you can read some charts and that will be fine. So there's a little bit of that, but aside from that, I don't know if I've got like a flag, so to speak.
It's interesting what you say about the kind of what you post is kind of what comes back to you. I spoke with and I kind of, the way things have gone, I've ended up mentioning her on the last 2 or 3 episodes, so I feel like I'm going on about it a bit. But when I chat with Emily, I asked her specifically because I had a run of gigs where I got some footage and I was posting it, but most of it was all jazz gigs. And great, and I got a different song to post, and you know, I put the full version on YouTube and I put like a 2-minute clip on Insta or whatever. And I was very conscious that my grid was starting to fill up with jazz gigs. And I'd talked to her about, you know, should I be showing that actually because people are only scroll through like 4 or 5 tiles or maybe 4 or 5 rows and then be like, oh, this guy plays jazz, so we want someone who plays rock or blues, you know. Whether it's better to not post or mix stuff up intentionally, not kind of in the order that you do the gigs, just to show that there's some diversity. And that goes back to your point about being a session guy.
Well, it depends what you want, isn't it? If you want to be a jazz drummer, then go for it.
Yes, exactly.
If you're like, oh, actually, I kind of hope that people are going to ask me to do some more blues stuff or rock stuff or anything else, then maybe having 10 jazz videos at the top of your page isn't going to do you any favors.
Right. So, you know, being conscious of like being available for everything or getting the call. So a lot of people that call me, it's really weird because I have like these 2 separate worlds. The guys that I know in the local scene, that they see me doing a lot of blues stuff and a lot of jazz stuff. But those guys are not in a rock band. They're not a heavy blues band. It's all it's more of a jazz orientated fusion world. And then I do the rock stuff with my own band, but then I tend to get calls from other people that I don't know so well, maybe done a gig for them 3 years ago, or you know, maybe they've been recommended me by someone who I've played with. So it's the lesser contacts that I get for the rock stuff and the heavier rock classic gigs, you know, whatever you want to call it. So it's never always the same group of people, you know, which is always kind of, it's not one big cohort of people that all know me for doing everything. I get certain calls for one thing from some people and certain calls for other things off other people. And it's nice to be able to, you know, you guys have shared your thoughts. I think for me, I guess it is that kind of thing that, you know, Matt will come and at the last minute and can sit in and can play. I think the improvisational side and reading the playing is something that potentially I'd like to think people would say, I can turn up and improvise a gig, you know, because I play a lot in that world, whether that's kind
of adapt to the situation very quickly.
really adaptable to, I know how this goes, or this is a blues jam, or it's a jazz thing.
Yeah.
And we've had no rehearsal and we don't know how we're going to end it, but I can read the room and I know what's going to happen. Or I can lead from the back because I'm going to tell you how we're going to end it. So I think that's probably the one thing that people, Matt's available. He's a great drummer and he can he can come in and just play. Hopefully that's what people would say about me. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one in terms of getting known for a thing, but also not cutting off other options.
Yeah.
And going back, we talked about Isaac Yamba because he's very genre specific, I guess. Or the other people that have played. So Richard, or surname escapes me, who played with Mike Johnston.
What, Spaven?
Spaven, thank you. Apologies, Richard, forgot your surname. No one's going to call him for a function gig, because he plays his thing. And to be committed to that, to the point that, Isaac's traveling the world doing classes and master classes and stuff, and still doing a bit of playing, to be all in on that is really kind of quite something, I think, to be fair. And not being scared to kind of, no, that's not what I do. This is what I do. It's a bit of an art in itself, really, to be.
I'm wondering whether
they're focused. They focused on an end goal. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether you have to be a certain level in order to be able to do that sometimes as well.
Yeah.
If you suddenly decided, I'm going to be the jazz guy, but also you were trying to pay the bills. That's two things that don't really go hand in hand very well.
Jazz and paying the bills, not two things that go.
So, if suddenly someone offered, me like a bunch of jazz gigs instead of function gigs, for example, I'd be like, sort of musically, I would love to play some jazz gigs. That's kind of what I grew up playing initially. My first load of gigs was all jazz. But if you offered me that every weekend and I was still trying to make ends meet, that would become a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if you've made it, or maybe you're just more stable in any sort of financial way, or just with your career, that you actually have the ability to be like, okay, this thing is loads of money. I could probably do it, but it's not really my vibe. E.g., someone asked Rich Spaven if he wants to do a function. Like, I'm sure he could do that, and I'm sure he does get people going, do you want to do that? But does he need that when he's got the gigs that he's got? He's got his thing. So you kind of have the ability to say no to stuff at that level. Whereas maybe when you're kind of more like we are, it's kind of like, no, we need to take these gigs.
Well, you get to the point where you're doing the gigs you want to do, because especially at that point you're being booked because of who you are. In those cases, it's not like I guess a lot of these guys are referencing here, they haven't got their own. They're not like a famous band apart from when Spaven does like his trio and all that sort of stuff, or whatever, but that's what they're getting booked for, isn't it? So they're getting booked because they're them, same with Nate Smith. He's, artistic creator, a director, I think, of Newport Jazz Festival that happened this weekend. So he's obviously curating the list. He's playing, he's got Butcher Brown playing, he's got, Thundercat, he's got whoever playing, Wolfpack, all that sort of stuff. But all those people are being booked for the bands, not because of, it's got Chris Dave on drums or whoever. But it must be a nice position to be in, I must say.
One day, lads.
Well, one day soon. Well, maybe that is a good point. We want to kind of talk about closing thoughts and thoughts for the future. We talk about one day. Is there one thing that you'd like to add? Back on that, what people think of you, or being maybe not. Let's not run before we can walk, but if you're being booked for who you are, which is unlikely where we are at the minute, gents. It's not going to happen this week, I don't think. I'm too busy. But what would we like to have added? We talk about going deep on these drummers, recapping a bit of our conversation, finding inspiration in the people that we're watching, or the masterclasses we're attending, or the videos we're getting into, the type of material that we're learning specifically, whether it be on a pad, gadaments, whether it be playing new songs for a different band. What would you like to be adding to your flag or to be known for in the future? As we're halfway through 2026, looking a little further ahead, where would you what else would you like to have planting that flag? What would you want to be putting into the mix as well? We talked about, for the future.
Yeah,
hard, isn't it?
Yeah, more for me. I'm definitely making a bit of a planned, conscious thing for more recording, not just like with being, I guess, hired for that, but being able to offer that, if that makes sense. As a thing I can do sort of for you. You need drums, like you don't want to pay loads for studio, like give me a message, I'll record some stuff for you, that sort of stuff. I guess kind of like what Aaron Sterling has done, obviously on a minute scale in comparison. But yeah, kind of more of that stuff as well, because recording is something I really like and enjoy, and just building up that portfolio of recorded music. I think I've got a playlist that's attached to my socials and stuff that's got about 60 songs in there now, which is quite cool.
Wow, nice.
So I want to keep those numbers going and so on. But yeah, and obviously more gigs that I guess people want to hire me because of my playing, like in the instance of the blues thing. Obviously, known for turning up and doing a good job and learning the set and doing a good job and being prepared and all that sort of stuff, but maybe a bit more like getting me in because of like, oh, this person would do a good job, so let's get them in, that kind of thing. I think would be cool. More is always good.
More.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Jamie, what
I think it's always been my dream to have a home studio, kind of similar, I guess, to what Harry's saying, like the ability to be able to record and put drums to people's music. I don't think that there's in my head like a limit to what that would be, as in terms of style or types of artists that I'd want to work with. I think if someone was like, oh yeah, we're doing this prog tune, would you do it? I wouldn't be like, no, straight away. I'm not saying that I could do that, but I'm saying that I would like to be in a position where I don't have to turn down things that people are asking me to do because of ability. Basically, I want to be able to at least know what I'm doing and to do the job that, but being realistic and being like, okay, like this is beyond my ability or beyond what I can offer, especially if I do know someone that's specialized. I'll be like, go ask this person. They've got what you want. So getting that balance, but I'd love to be able to do that remote recording thing. I'd also love to be the person that someone could come to for lessons from like a teaching or coaching aspect, to be able to have to gain some knowledge as well. So I think I'd really like to be known for being able to offer that on top of playing, is to be able to say, like, if you're struggling with a certain concept or a certain style or technique or whatever it is, like, let's have a session and like I can help you in some way. I'd like to probably have that as well. So I always, I guess, see what I'd eventually like to end up as, with like 3 different areas, which would be like my playing, like actually going out and like performing, gigging, and then the recording side, being able to do remote stuff, whatever that might look like, dialing in my sound, and then teaching and having like a mix of those 3, and just essentially just being able to be whoever I'm needed to be in those 3 contexts. That's for me what makes me excited.
Yeah, cool, good man.
Sorry, it's not very specific, but go on.
No, I think, well, that's the thing. I think to your point previously, Jay. No, it's like we're not in a position where we're going to go all in on a thing, but our flag can contain those elements. One thing that Emily, I'm going to answer my own question in a minute, but one thing Emily asked me or challenged me to do in my last session with her is she says, you can look around, go to everyone's room, Matt. We use this analogy of go to someone's room. What what's their room consist of? How do they play? Who are they? What do they do? What are they known for? You don't have to try and be. You don't have to get everyone else's stuff from their rooms and put it all in your room. Yeah. You know, what do you want in your room? And that's something I'm thinking about quite a lot. Sounds like a bit of a kind of cop-out answer, but I'd like to have my own space that I can be consistent in and offer remote stuff as well. And I guess it's the dream for most people, whatever instrument it is, to be able to do that, to have somewhere I can teach from rather than go to other people, which I love doing. And I was it's worked far better than I thought it would when I first started out. So, I mean, this is the 3rd of August. This is going to come out on the 15th. So when this comes out on the 15th, I'll be 2 days short of being full-time for 4 years.
Wow.
You know, and where I was 3.5 years ago, I thought, well, I'm just going to try and see if I can go to people's houses and teach. And that's really taken off. But I'd like to be able to do that in a more consistent way, in a more condensed way, and be self-sufficient so that I can do more stuff and recording. I'm not as you are, Harry. You're really into I think you both are, to be fair. You're both further down the line with me in terms of getting to grips with recording. I'd like to be, whether I did that commercially and offer that to people, or whether I just actually want to develop more of my own knowledge in that area. But yeah, I think in terms of my flag, I'd like to be able to start getting known in a wider area. So I am kind of playing nationally at the minute, or the Midlands, as you guys call it, which, as you know, is half of the country, apparently.
Absolutely.
Above Gloucester. Yeah. But to spread my net out, or be able to kind of get a call to go and play further afield.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, the kind of fees involved with playing further afield and start to be known or get to know more people through that, and just build a wider portfolio of live playing.
Yeah,
it is the live stuff. It is so difficult when you see everyone doing everything out there. You know, when you doom scroll and you go, oh, why would I do that when people can go to him? Why would I do that when people can go to her? Why would I get the call when she's available or they're available? You know.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things I've drawn a box. What's in my room? And one of the things I've written in there is to be a creator, not a consumer. And I think doing that for myself is going to help me have a better long-term goal and a path, rather than worry about what are they doing on the next profile, who are they on Instagram, what are they doing on YouTube, because it always looks really great out there, and it doesn't help me feel good about my playing or what I want to do, because why would someone come to me when there's all these options out there? So I think I've got to, for myself, not probably what other people would say about me, but be more consistent in the direction I want to take, you know, my playing. And people's opportunity to work with me, you know, generally.
100%.
Great.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great. Well, everyone, what does your flag look like? What have you got it in your hand, as Jamie said, or have you planted it like Harry has? I don't know. I think it would be really great if everyone wanted to kind of talk about, you know, thinking about how they might be opening their mind up to playing or listening to the players that inspire them, and going all in on the stuff like this, as Harry has mentioned, maybe strengthening a side of your playing or your reading or your networking or your social media, to be able to offer yourself to more people, whether it's, as Jamie was, saying yes to things which perhaps aren't in your wheelhouse, but you know that there's going to be growth at the end of it. There's lots of stuff, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please come over to see us on Instagram at Count Us In Podcast. You'll be able to see what we're doing here. We'll put some reels out. This will be out, as we said, on the 15th on all of your podcast platforms, and we'll put a reel out on Instagram. And then the following week, it will be out on YouTube. so you can see what it was I was pointing at the beginning of the episode.
The little thing we're pointing at.
Everyone's dying to know.
Yeah. If it helps, if there's a clue, Harry's got one and so's Jamie as well. So there we go.
Yeah, that's definitely made it worse.
Speak for yourself.
I think so. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, everyone. If you've enjoyed this conversation from an educational or maybe just an entertainment perspective, please head over to buymeacoffee.com/Campus In Podcast, and you can send us a little donation to say thank you. We'd appreciate that. Keeps us going at this end as well. If you find this reel or any of our other, the reel that we share or any of the episodes, please share them with someone else you think might get something from it. It helps spread the net. I think for us as a podcast, one of the things on our flag is to be kind of broaden our listenership. We have some people listening around the world, which is great, but we'd love to have more people listening and joining in the conversation. So please share it with someone you like, who you think might like it, and we'd love to welcome them to our listeners. Thank you very much, everyone.
100%.
Appreciate your time, gents. Now, it's weirdly, I'm now going for coffee. I'm not going to bed because it's not late evening. It's still early morning.
Excellent.
But, it's good timing because it sounds like the guy next door has just started his strimmer. So that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Thanks, guys. Great chat as always.
See you later.
Catch you on the next one. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you later.